This is the 2024 Infiniti QX60 in this really pretty deep Bordeaux color. Hey, it's Tim, Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk, and I'm going to tell you what it's like to live with this vehicle in the country.
And I'm Jill Ciminillo, and I happen to be driving the same deep burgundy autograph QX60 that Tim is driving in Nebraska, but here I am in Chicago, and yes, I know his backdrop is prettier than mine.
Let's start with this exterior of this QX60. Things haven't really changed since it got refreshed in 2022. We do have some nice daytime running lights. We have this nice front end. I really like the way the Infiniti looks. I think this QX60 is a good looking SUV. Yes, as Jill will point out probably in her video, it is basically a luxury version of a Pathfinder, but I don't care. I think that's fine. I'm good with that. Vehicles manufactured all the time, and I actually like this look a little bit better than I like the Pathfinder. In that I like the chrome. Sorry, I gotta watch my footing. It snowed nasty overnight. And the chrome accents, the stuff here, and I like this overall look here. A lot of people have stopped to look at this vehicle. I've had it for the week because it does have that nice, sharp look to it. Let's go and see what Jill thinks.
Now, I'm not going to spend as much time on the exterior as Tim did because I actually think Infiniti did a really nice job here. And I don't think this is the area where it looks too much like a Nissan. I think that this is elegantly styled and really has an upscale look to it. I think Infiniti has done a great job, from the taillights to the badging to the wheels to, the chrome colored door handles to the black mirror caps, all the way to the grille. I have no complaints whatsoever about the exterior of this vehicle, but unlike Tim feeling like it's small in Nebraska, I'm going to say this is really, really big on a city street. It's big.
Okay, while I'm here in the back, I want to talk about a few things back here that interesting. So I do like it's got a hitch built into it, not just for towing stuff, but also like bike racks or bed extenders. I understand why SUVs don't always have that. One thing I'm not so fond about is right here. This is the button, open the back. It's kind of small, hidden. Took me a day or so to find it. And unfortunately, we're not playing golf today, but I wanted to bring these golf clubs that kind of show you an idea about the size back here. Good amount of size, right to left. And we have the third row seats, which, well, I'm not getting back there, but I think I know somebody who will.
Yeah, I'll get back here in the third row, and I'm just going to tell you what I have told you before because, yes, I have reviewed this vehicle before, and I kind of hate this third row. I think it sucks. And that is primarily because of this right here. When you sit back here, it just kind of pushes your head forward. And it's not comfortable. And somebody was asking me if there was a way to recline these seats so that, these things just get in the way. If there was a way to recline these seats so that it wasn't as bad. And okay, yeah, you can recline them, and this doesn't suck as much. I'll be honest with you, it does not suck as much if you recline the seats, but then you are completely sacrificing any of the cargo space that you have back here. So you're really only going to be able to recline these seats if you are carrying nothing, and not even Tim's golf clubs, nothing behind this third row because, yeah, So in terms of what else is going on back here, I'm 5 feet tall. I usually say I'm about the size of your average 10-year-old. And my feet fit back here. These seats are kind of in the far back position and they are tilted back here. So my feet fit, but it just feels a little bit awkward. There's like some bumpy things going on. And while my knees don't hit the back of the seat, I do have about an inch or two between my knee and the back of the seat. The footing is a little bit weird. Well, I'll show you that in a second. But in terms of what else is going on back here, there is some cup holders, but they're crappy cup holders. They don't have any grippy things to hold, like if you had a coffee or something back here. Sippy cups. You could put sippy cups back here. And there's a USB-A port back here, but... Okay, and you do have air vents, so that will get a thumb up from me. One thumb up, maybe not two. But you've got these little dinky windows, And you do just generally feel a little bit claustrophobic back here. All right, before I send it back to Tim to take a look at the second row, I did just want to show, this is my knee room. And, all right, yeah, I'm wearing heels, so that could account for some of the awkward footness. But I will say, like, my toes are kind of like pointed together here because they have to fit between this space. And so it's just kind of an awkward tight crunch for my feet. And, you know, my feet are underneath the seat. I will also point out this is slid forward about an inch, so that is giving me a little bit more legroom. This seat right here is not slid forward, so yeah, with it in the far back position, you're definitely going to be bumping your knees against this seat. And I will also point out the way that the seat is done, I have a lot of room between the bottom of my leg and the bottom, you know, the top of the seat. So even if I do have enough leg room, this is just not really going to be a comfortable space to sit in for very long for somebody who is the size of a 10-year-old. So I don't know. You know, like I said, there's not a lot going on back here, and in general, this is just a crappy third row seat. You know what? One thing I will point out before I hand it back to Tim is I'm going to turn myself around a little bit, see if I can squeeze through here. And sorry, I'm like awkwardly through the the captain's chair seats here. But I do want to point out the one thing that they did do is they only put 2 seats in the third row, and that is something I definitely find helpful. So here you have like a device holder or something, or a tray. So you're not supposed to put a third person back here, so you're going to have plenty of shoulder room. But in terms of amenities and things, I mean, come on. That is a really small window. All right, Tim. I'm sure you'll have much more happy things to say about the second row. So let's go after that. Now, generally, I'm going to agree with Tim that this is a really well done interior. From the design accents, you know, the quilted stitching, the patterns, the stitching on the steering wheel. Yeah, this is well done, and it looks like luxury. However, this right here and this right here is going to be where I see the Nissan. You can put an Infiniti badge back here, but that doesn't change the fact that this design that you've got going on is really exactly the same as what you're going to see in a Nissan vehicle. Okay, the colors may be a little bit different, but yeah, I think they could have been a little bit more creative here, and they could have done better. They could have done better. They could have made this a little bit more distinctive, and they could have made this look a little bit better and a little bit more upscale. That is what I don't like about the interior, but everything else, yeah, I think it's good. Now, before I send it back to Tim in the frozen tundra, there are a couple more things that I want to say about the interior. And the first is, I don't really love this right here, and Tim's going to have a little bit of a different opinion, but these are not real buttons. It's a capacitive area. I like to call them touch spaces. But Tim's going to do a glove check, so I will leave that to him. And I don't know, plus this is just a lot of shiny black shit that's going to catch dust. And I think they could have done that better, and buttons and dials and all that kind of stuff just would have been more welcome in this space than this thing that's going to fingerprint and catch dust. Now, the last thing I want to say before I send it to Tim is my visibility out of this vehicle is only so-so. So this is for the petite drivers out there. Make sure you spend some time behind the wheel, because I just don't feel good in the space. Like, yeah, I'm far enough away from the steering wheel. I'm not going to die because of the airbag, but I feel a little bit closed in. And I also just don't have great visibility out the front. We'll get into this a little bit more in my driving impressions, but I spent a lot of time going like this while I'm driving this vehicle, and that gets a no from me. So now I'm going to send it back to Tim. He has opinions, and he's wearing gloves because it's colder in Nebraska today than it is in Chicago. So let's do the glove check.
I will get in the second row seats because I can get in these things a lot easier. These seats are probably one of the most comfortable seats I found in the SUV market, especially for this price point. Typically, you have to go really a lot more money to get a quality seat where it has nice comfort. And it is nice to have a little more of a stadium seating setup. I'm a little bit higher back here. I can see over the driver a little bit better than other vehicles where I may be down lower. Plenty of leg room. These seats do move back and forth, so I can adjust those as well. Bose speaker system. I have the always nice for summertime, not today, the visor that comes up. You attach it here. Some vents up top, and I actually can control the rear seat as far as heated outboard seats and HVAC controls. I can turn it on or off up there, and I can control it back here myself. So that's nice, give myself some freedom of choice. I do have the plug-in here. I have gloves on, USBs, and some cup holders. So overall, I think these second row seats are really comfortable, and yeah, I could sit back here. I could probably road trip in this easily. Okay, let's go ahead and hop up front. Okay, up front, this one, I do have the graphite color of the interior, and yeah, I do find everything easy to reach. Everything's nice to get to. I don't have any problems there. I do like the controls. One thing I was curious about was whether I could use these haptic controls with gloves on. So I can turn the and haptic means I get some visual, I get some feedback. It like clicks at me, and I can turn the knob, and yeah, I can do that pretty easily. And then let's see if I can do this. Go to, yep, and CarPlay. So, I mean, it's not as easy as you want to be with gloves on, but you can make it work with those. I do have it in the different drive modes. I actually turned on some snow mode, and I'll show you that's on the screen here. And the reason I did it was, well, it's snowy. And also, snow mode, it actually doesn't allow you to floor it, doesn't allow you to do burnouts. It changes the transmission shifting, and sometimes it can change some of the steering, so you're not so, overly active in steering in snow mode. You don't want to spin out. That's kind of what that stuff does. But I do like the materials overall. I think it's a good looking cabin. I have to probably agree with Jill, and I'm sure she's going to say this, is that yeah, it kind of looks nice. Or maybe she won't. Before I go for a drive, I want to talk to you about something called the price. Yeah, the price, the big topic on these vehicles, how expensive they're getting. And in this case, I have a little bit of a problem with it. So I have driven every year since the 2022 model got refreshed. I went back in time and I pulled up the paperwork on this. And this is the QX60 from 2022. This is the sticker they had because it was brand new. They hadn't done the official sticker as of yet. And looking at this number, I have it at $63,945, which I thought was a pretty darn good price for an all-wheel drive, 3-row SUV that was pretty comfortable inside, great seats, and the power delivery. 270 horsepower, 270 foot-pounds of torque, 295 horsepower, 9-speed automatic transmission, drives well. I mean, I just thought it was great. And then I get the 2024 model, and people are like, "Hey, what's this Infiniti?" You know, during the week, people stopped me, and I said, "Yeah, it's really good price." I looked it up, and it's $69,445. So how did we increase $6,000 in 2 years with no changes? I went on the Infiniti website, and there's really no changes except for this. Infiniti Premium Care Plus is now included, baked into the price. It's up to 3-year scheduled maintenance, includes oil changes, tire rotations, brake fluid change, in-cabin air filter replacement, and tire road hazard. So you have to get that. You can't not get it. Now, also have some changes here. I have a lighting package, which is welcome lighting illuminated cargo scuff plate for $800. Infiniti Radiant Grill emblem is $455, and carpeted floor mats are complimentary. Excuse me. Premium paint is $900 for this premium paint. So I had in this model, I had $695 of options, which included a $695 premium paint, and in 2 years, premium paint has gone from $695 to $900. I'm just like, what happened? I was so excited about the price of this vehicle and telling people how good a price it was, and now it's not. Okay, out here in the country, this is a small vehicle. I know, shocker, right? It actually does feel really small compared to other vehicles people drive around. It's not as tall as some of the bigger Tahoes and Yukons. It's not as long as some of the trucks are. It's a very interesting vehicle in that it fits really well in the country, but it's not as big as you'd assume. It drives a lot smaller than what it does as well. It doesn't seem like such a big vehicle. And one of the things that's been kind of a problem with that is it's been blowing 30, 40 miles an hour, and this vehicle's actually got blown across the road a little bit, which is shocking, I know, but it's just weird. Okay, behind the wheel here on the open road, literally open road, I find that this drives really well. I've always had a good experience driving it. I enjoy the powertrain, I enjoy the power delivery, and I have plenty of room to park it. It actually is interesting. I've been driving around Walmart and places, and even for a 3-row SUV, it doesn't feel that big. It doesn't look that big. And so it's interesting. If you would blindfold me and kind of just show me what it was, or I talked to a stranger, they would just say it's a 2-row SUV, which 3rd row, occasional kid usage, or Jill would fit back there. But for me, this is really a 2-row SUV in my view, with additional storage and the optional, in case you need it, maybe 3rd row seat. But it definitely drives smaller than it feels. Drives more like a 2-row SUV, and again, I like the power delivery. It handles the snow and ice pretty well. I haven't had very much slippage, which I would assume I would have, but yeah, it's I can't say enough good things about it. I like most things about it. I don't love the fact premium fuel is required to get the better horsepower and torque numbers, but that is definitely a luxury car thing. Fuel economy I've been around 21.6, 22, somewhere in that range for all the driving, and I do a pretty mixed driving of highway and city, more highway speeds than city would be, because our city's only 2 miles long. In Jill's case, well, that's a different story.
All right, it is time for me to get into some of my driving impressions, and I'm going to tell you they're going to be a little bit different than Tim's, because this is me trying to pull out of my garage, and the turning radius is not that tight, and the longness of the vehicle gives me a little bit of problems as I'm trying to maneuver around some of the tight spaces. And so I would say this is just, it's not ideal for a city. I mean, you can make do, and somebody who is owning this vehicle would get used to how big it is, and you would figure out what your spaces are. And you might even be able to deal with the fact that you have to do this silly forward back, thing to look around this A-pillar and to be able to see over the hood. Maybe. You might be able to get used to that. And again, taller drivers, probably not a problem, but if you're on the petite side of things, this is a pretty smooth vehicle. It's comfortable, but I will say I am in a city, and as you can see, there's a stop sign on every corner. And my fuel economy certainly was not as good as Tim's was. I was averaging, do you have a guess? Do you want to guess what I was averaging? I was averaging 14.3 miles per gallon. And yeah, that is slightly less than ideal. And I would want something a little bit better than that in the city. And this does have the auto stop start engine. So in theory, when you stop at a stoplight, the engine should shut down and it will help your fuel economy. But clearly that wasn't the case. And the engine, for some reason or whatever, isn't warm right now. I don't know, because when I'm stopping, my engine isn't shutting off. So that's a little bit weird. But I found that what was happening a lot in the city is I would stop at a stop sign, the engine would shut off, and then I would have to start it back up again. And then I'd get the next block and there's another stop sign and the engine would shut off and then it would start back up again. So in addition to not saving me fuel, this was just really incredibly annoying. And so, yeah, I would shut that off immediately. And so I'm just not going to get the benefits of the auto stop start engine. Now, clearly in a place like Nebraska, where maybe you only have one stop sign in the entire town of Gearing, probably not a problem. You have a lot more wide open spaces. You're just generally going to get better fuel economy in that situation than you are in a city. And so I will say it's just a little bit disappointing. Outside of that, like I mentioned earlier when I was talking about the interior, my biggest problem with this vehicle is literally just visibility and being able to see. I have been doing a lot of stretching to look over the hood. And, you know, when I stopped at a light right now and the mirror covers the walk for me. So, just kind of like looking over the mirror to make sure before I would go and the light turns green to make sure nobody's walking in the crosswalk, because by the way, they do that here. So I feel like this has some blind spots, and I've always felt very ish about the QX60. I'm not gonna lie. And this test drive hasn't changed my mind.
All right, there you go. There's our thoughts on this 2024 Infiniti QX60. For more, check out the videos over here. Website down below as well, pickuptrucktalk.com. Lots of good information over there. As always, thanks for watching. I will see you down the road.